I was advised to pick up this Zanfel cream by several of my friends. The first step is to wet the affected areas, then it's important to squeeze out 1.5 inches of the product. They give you a little scale to measure there to make sure you get enough. Now I'm ready to apply this to the areas that I've already put water on where my rash is present. It feels like an exfoliant, so it definitely is not like other creams. You're supposed to rub this in until you no longer feel any itch. The itch is gone now from the spots on my neck and my shoulder, my arm. I still have to rinse the product off, but while I have a little bit still left on my hands, I'm going to rub it onto the spot over my lip because now that is definitely the last spot that still itches. Okay. My itching is all gone now. I'm going to rinse the product off of my arm and my neck and my shoulder and my hand and my face. And my expectation is that the itch will not return. Yesterday I used that Zanfel cream on my neck area about 5 different times, and I still woke up this morning really miserable because the itching had kind of like spread up and around my chin area here. I can feel some spots up here on the side of my face now too. And also these like blisters that are on my arm, they haven't gone away either. And the patch on my shoulder also hasn't gotten any better. So I think it's probably time for me to admit that I don't know exactly what this rash is being caused by. So I just got a steroid shot and I learned that apparently poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac kind of look the same in terms of the rash when it presents. So this really could kind of be from anything, and I need to check the vegetation in the yard, but I picked up some helpful tips in terms of avoiding this in the future. The nurse at Urgent Care today informed me that because poison oak, sumac, and poison ivy all present in the same way when you're looking at the actual rash, and the rash can actually look different depending on what part of the body it lands on. So on my neck it looks a little bit different than the boily like blisters that have been on my arm and on my shoulder. It is up to me to figure out what plants I have on my property that could be causing this problem. When trying to identify poison oak and poison ivy, I'm looking for plants that have 3 leaves on them. This does appear to be a little bit glossy, which I know is an indication of a poisonous plant with sap that could cause an allergic reaction if it touches my skin. Here's another example of a 3-leaf plant that we'll have to check and make sure is not poisonous. If you're reusing any of the same items when you're outside in nature and you might be coming across a poisonous plant, things like your work gloves and also for me, my work boots, that sap, that poisonous oil can actually attach itself to your equipment, even tools and rakes, the handles of the things that you're using. And that can stay for a very, very, very long time, like years, until it's washed off. So you have to be very careful when you're reusing these items that you are washing them off and using something that has friction to it, like a washcloth or a towel, and then immediately throw that towel into the wash bin so that you know that these items are safe and good for reuse. You can accidentally continue to reintroduce yourself to the same sap over and over again if you're not careful to wash the items that you're using every time you come in from areas where that vegetation might be present. When you or your family members are cleaning up after taking a walk on a nature trail that might have poisonous plants on it, you cannot reuse the same towel. Even something as innocent as reusing the same washcloth can actually spread that contaminant within your household from person to person. It's super important to make sure that any contaminated item makes it in the wash and that you put it through a full cycle before putting it back into circulation. It took nearly a month for all of that poison ivy rash to finally disappear and go away. During that time, we purchased some plant killer so that instead of just cutting down any of the poisonous plants that we found, we were actually killing them at the root. And it takes quite a bit of time for those leaves and that whole plant to finally shrivel up and die. So really this whole process has been about a month all around. And this Zanfel cream is actually something that I have found to be really effective. Unfortunately, because it's such a small tube, it really wasn't enough to combat all of the different rash areas that I had and get me to a place where I was past the itch permanently. I needed to get a steroid shot for that. If you are dealing with an itchy rash that you think you've gotten from poison ivy or poison oak or poison sumac, definitely picking up some of the Zanfel cream is a good idea. It is costly. I feel like $40 is actually more than I would typically pay for a prescription. So for me, it was a decision that I had to kind of weigh the pros pros and cons with. I like to try new products and I like to give things a chance. In my case, I ended up doing a little bit better going to the doctor and getting that steroid shot, but that's just because my rash was kind of all over the place, and because I didn't realize that I kept recontaminating myself by using the same tools without cleaning them. I really needed to see a doctor so I could learn about what was happening. Now that I understand how to identify poisonous plants, how to clean myself properly when I come indoors after being out in nature, and also just that poison ivy itself takes some time to get rid of, and you're trying to combat that itch more than you are trying to cure yourself more quickly. I won't be surprised if we end up using this again in the future, and I would recommend it to other people who are struggling with trying to overcome the itch from a rash that you know is from a poisonous plant. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and you found the information to be helpful. If you did, give us a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and then you'll be alerted the next time we have a video ready. Thanks for watching. Bye guys. The Q&A page inside the Zanfil package tells you that after completing the first application, you should remain itch-free. That is not the case for me, so I'm going to scoot down here where it says itching can return within 2 to 4 hours and may require additional washes. And then it also says that if symptoms persist, to see a physician. I'm trying to avoid that, so I do want to see if this works better today. If it doesn't, I probably will go to the urgent care to get some kind of a steroid shot, but we're going to try this first.